Okay, so we've got to the stage where we have these designs. Again, we're relatively happy with them in the sense that it kind of allows us to understand our dispenser in a bit more detail. But we can't just chuck those on a page. We want to kind of present to the client or present to whoever you're showing this idea to, maybe show them the journey, maybe help them to understand how we've got there. You may have used images, you may have used inspiration from products already, and there's a few different ways that we can kind of present these. So if we think about what we've done, we've gone from, say, this really simple shape that I keep going on about. I apologise if it's getting boring, but hopefully it's helped you to get to the next stage of your design journey. We've gone from there, and then we've put it into kind of like this isometric, this oblique shape, okay? So maybe you want to show this oblique shape like this. I'm doing this very quickly again. Please take your time if you're doing this and following along. So there's the oblique shape we went to, and then from the oblique shape we maybe went on to our isometric shape. So you might want to show how you turn that into your isometric design. Maybe like this. And from our isometric design, we went and we turned it into something maybe a little bit more different. So what did we actually end up with? Let's have a little look back. We pretty much just went straight into manipulating the shape. So this is when maybe you would take these designs and you'd put them onto this page here, showing these two, and maybe below showing these. And that kind of shows you a nice kind of journey of where you've got to. So what we could do is maybe just tidy those up. So let's have one of them over on the side over here. That one's going to go up there. Maybe we're going to have one below. In fact, let's kind of like do it as a curve. Bit of overlap doesn't really matter. Don't mind that. So always making sure that our perspective lines are solid, so the solid foundations. And then from there we kind of went and added, let's go over here. So if you're following along, you might want to pause and kind of start doing what I'm doing to mock up your shapes. It's going to be a bit of overlap for me, but that shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Right, so what we're going to show now is basically going to put these two into here, and we're going to put these two into here. Okay, so I'm going to do this very quickly. It's going to be messy, but it will just get the idea across as I've been mentioning. Yes, that could go up to there. So this was going along, it's probably a little bit too long. So as I've got the chance, I'm actually just going to shorten this, cut that back piece away. That can go along to there. It's quite tall now as well. It will do the job. Okay, then we had this kind of section for the water tank. And then we had a little handle on top. Like that, and we put a screen on here as well, didn't we? like this, and we had 2 buttons. Okay, so that's that little bit. This one, exactly the same shape, so if I just quickly... Again, this is probably a little bit too long, so let's just actually shorten this down as well. So I'm thinking all of my lines are either vertical or they're in perspective, so they're going back to the points. We've got our spouts on here we just did really quickly. That weren't accurate, but they convey the idea, which is all about basically what this process is, conveying your ideas. A little spout down there, spout down there. So that was that one. It had, I think, some sliders on. I did a worse thinking when I said about these sliders, but it does the job for that piece. And this one over here, we kind of added to it, didn't we? So we actually need to make this stick out a little bit further. So we've got this kind of roof section. I think we drew back at an angle down here. This was going up. This one's going up. Go across the top. This one's coming down the back here. We're probably not going to see it. Maybe we will. No, we won't. This one going into here like this, coming down there. I'm going to leave that for now because I actually don't know whether this is going to affect that front part. So I then drew a small square on top, making sure everything is in perspective. So it's not a square, it's kind of like a rhombus shape. Down to this corner here, down to this corner back, down to this corner back as well. Then we add on those legs. So I'm just going to freestyle these legs a little bit for the speed of it. Obviously had an angle, you can't probably see that angle, so I'm going to go chuck that on there. Same with this angle over here, we probably can't see. And chuck that on just like that. Okay, and that gives me, and we can actually still see all of this, which is good. Over here, coming over the top. That section coming over here. Okay, and then this had some spouts, didn't it? I think there's something, I drew some on, so maybe they'd stick out the base like here, and I've had one coming down. Maybe we'd just see that, who knows. And then we kind of put some buttons on top. So let's put like a row of pad buttons that you kind of press. And then you can add some more detail to that one. And then we had 3 or 4 buttons. 4. Okay. And then very quickly, you could probably see that bit at the back there, couldn't you? There's an angle, yeah, that'll do. Very, very quickly, you can kind of see how this page can start presenting as some quite interesting ideas. Obviously, we've got some space over here and some space down here. Maybe you want to just write some bits in there so you can talk about what's actually happening. So a little bit of text about this product could also link to this product. Maybe the text up here, or maybe it could be an image of some inspiration that you had, or something could link to here and down to here. So very quickly you can present this page quite nicely to your client or wherever you're presenting it. Of course, you've also got the options of taking your fine liner to make things stand out. So for this design, maybe shouldn't have done that line there actually, but if we want to kind of show the outlines, you can now see why I shouldn't have done that line. Got a bit too excited. Over here we can outline this product as well. This one, yeah, and you can quickly see how just by adding some very basic presentation skills, everything is going to start to stand out. and look quite interesting, hopefully. Cool. And up here, let's just finish this one off. Oops. And as you know from previous videos, you can then jump in and kind of add your other line weights. So the second line weights to make other bits stand out. There we go. Now you could also start adding some color. So maybe you want to, I don't know, as we've kind of shown in the past, you could chuck a little box behind here. This is going to kind of get a bit messy, but you'll get the idea, just to make bits stand out even more. You could highlight some bits over here, so maybe these buttons, or you could add a little bit of color to this section. There's lots of things you can do to make it stand out. But that is how you can present your kind of workflow from a really simple initial shape all the way into multiple shapes. And you would take a lot more time doing this. You'd make sure your lines are really crisp, make sure everything's in proportion and perspective, and you'll end up with some really great presentation pages.